Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table with Setco Services. In this podcast, we delve into the world of real estate and explore what happens beyond the closing table. Join us for insightful discussions and expert interviews that will change the way you see real estate transactions. Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table, sponsored by Setco Services. I'm George Brandon Jr. Today, I have Robert Opey Russ.
Hey, George.
Opey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm not going to call you Georgie.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, that was one of my many names that I was called when I was growing up.
Yeah.
That's my dad jokes that until I was about 10, I thought my first name was Little.
Yeah.
So, You know, that's it goes. And I've been called a lot worse. I mean, you know what industry we're in.
Yeah. By me, yeah.
Probably somewhere along the way.
The first time you're learning that.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
many a bathroom wall have
behind the
written.
scenes. This is what Opey says about me. All right. So, broker owner of Gulf Life Real Estate.
That's right.
Love it.
Yeah.
First of all, we'll get there. Tell me where you're from, Opey. Where'd you grow up?
Oh, God. All over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Military?
Military brat.
Yeah.
Air Force brat.
Okay.
Didn't move around like a lot of Air Force brats do. I mean, we moved like every 2 years, but it was all pretty much up and down the East Coast.
Okay.
We were South Carolina, North Carolina, Southern Virginia, Northern Virginia, Maryland, back to South Carolina, kind of up in my. I had friends of mine, they're going, where are you going next? They're like, oh, we're going to Germany. Hey, we're going to Guam. Hey, we're going to Hawaii. I'm like,
And you're going to South Carolina.
I'm going to South Carolina. I'm going to Sumter, South Carolina. All over the place. But
so what dad, mom, both?
My dad.
What do you do?
My dad was a 4-star general.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's weird. And so those are some shoes to fill.
Yeah.
You know?
You think?
Yeah, you think just a little bit. So
back when generals were generals and not politicians?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he was a really good guy, though.
Yeah.
My dad was he wasn't what you would think he didn't come in and bounce quarters off the bed and scream at us and blow reveille. And
get in the line, you maggot. He wasn't the drill sergeant.
He was not the drill sergeant. He was a really good guy.
What did he start out as? Give me a little background on dad.
Fighter pilot.
Really?
Went through ROTC in college, got his wings in the 50s and flew F-4s in Vietnam.
Okay.
Got shot down.
Really?
Yeah, and was rescued. That's a whole story right there, a story that I think needs to be made into a movie. I've heard it 1,000 times.
I was literally just listening to Sean Ryan's podcast on the way here about one of the SAW guys, Dale somebody, I can't remember his last name, but these crazy special operations guys and from Vietnam, they go, some of their stories to go rescuing pilots.
Oh,
it's nuts.
It's
like what those guys did.
It's insane.
Insane.
What they did. Yeah.
So was he a POW or did he
No, they got
rescue?
Him. They got him before he before they were chasing him. The Viet Cong were chasing him because they saw he was bombing their anti-aircraft stuff and kind of wild weasel thing, and he got hit and he went down. And the F-4s are 2-seaters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I might as well tell the story. Why not? It's a good story.
Yeah, no, you just said it needs to be. I was about to ask you, did he write a book? Is your dad still with us?
No, he's not.
Okay,
he died in 1997.
Okay,
But growing up, the guys that were involved in this whole story once a year would get together and come to my house and sit around and drink scotch and talk with their hands like fighter pilots do. And just relive the story.
Well,
and
if
so
you're willing to share it. Let's do it.
It's a good story. So it starts with my dad in flight school with this buddy of his, and his buddy says he's not going to go for jets, he's going to go for helicopters. And fighter pilots look down on helicopter pilots, right? Oh, that's all you're going to do is fly a helicopter. At least back then.
Yeah.
At least back then, right?
I heard there's some internal competition between aircraft and the same armed force.
So my dad is going out on this mission, and over the airways he hears this guy, and this guy says, "Hey, is that Bob Russ?" And he said, "Oh, is this whatever the guy's name was? We'll call him John, right?" And John, and he said, "What are you doing out here?" He says, "Well, I'm on a mission." And he said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm flying the Jolly Green Giants. I'm here to come get you when you get done." My dad says, "Well, I hope I never have to see you again," right?
Yeah.
So he goes on to his mission, my dad does, and this helicopter pilot sticks around in the area a little bit. He goes, maybe I should just stay here.
This is his buddy.
This is his buddy, right? That he just told he hopes he never has to see again.
Okay.
Dad gets shot down. They had F4s or two-seaters, and so his weapons systems officer, the backseater, the navigator, went down on one side of the hill. Dad went down on the other side of the hill, and he was actually training this new guy in the back. And so this was his first mission. My dad flew 242 combat missions in Vietnam.
Damn.
So this was this kid's first mission, and his normal backseater was flying with a new pilot who was his first mission in the same flight and same that they were doing. And so Dad gets shot down. The kid's on one side of the hill. He's on the other side of the hill, but they're low on gas. And the new pilot that's with my dad's backseater says, hey, we're low on fuel. We got to bug out. We got to get back to base. And his backseater says, well, I'm not leaving Bob Russ down there. We're not leaving this. And so we're going to continue to fly around and strafe them. And because they saw the plane go down and they were coming for the American pilot.
Yeah.
And the kid said, no, I'm in command. No, I'm going back. And the story goes that I've heard is that he pulled out his service revolver, my dad's backseater, I won't say his name,
sure,
and said, if you so much as start to turn around, I will put a cap right in the back of your skull. I'll bail out and I'll take my chances on the ground with my buddy. So you're going to stay here and you're going to fight these guys, and we're going to go pick them up.
I love it.
Dad's helicopter buddy from that he said he never wanted to see again heard this stuff and was real close to getting. So they came in and they were going to get my dad, and my dad said, no, go get the kid first. He's probably crapping himself. He's on the other side of the hill. So they go pick up the kid first, and then they come over and they drop the line down because he's in the jungle, right? And so they don't land the helicopter. They drop a line down, and it's got this little harness with like a seatbelt buckle on it. And you put the seatbelt buckle, and once it clicks, the sign to let them know that it's clicked is you look up. Well, a stray bullet hit that seatbelt buckle and broke it. And so when my dad wrapped it around him and went to click it, it didn't click. And he looked up as if to say, what the hell? The seatbelt buckle's broken.
Yeah.
And boom, they took off. So he grabbed on. So he's holding on to this line with no harness in him as they're dragging him through the treetops. And the guys on the ground, the Viet Cong, are shooting at him. And they're dragging him in. They finally get him up into the helicopter. And the helicopter pilot turns around and says, I bet you're glad to see me now, you jackass. Right.
That's awesome.
So they get back to the base, and the flight. There were 4 planes in Dad's flight, so his went down. So the other 3, the first one gets back and lands and runs out of fuel on the runway. The second one gets back and runs out of fuel about 10 feet off the tarmac. Right, slams, has a really hard landing, and then the third one, the one with the kid that wanted to come back early, comes in and runs out of gas about 50 feet off the thing, and serious crash landing. I mean, hard, but of course they all survived on all of that. So, I mean, they literally made it within seconds.
Yeah.
And that's the story that my dad told me over and over and over. And not just my dad telling it, because sometimes he would make it sound like he was more of the hero than he was, you know, and then his buddies would come up and go, yeah, I remember you held on to that strap that were dragging you up there, and we had to cut the strap away from the helicopter. You didn't let go of that thing for like 3 hours. Like, oh, shut up. I did too. No, you didn't, did he, about it?
That's awesome.
So I always thought that'd be a good movie. Anyway, that was my dad's Vietnam story.
Did he continue to fly?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And he 242 combat missions, and he was shot down once, and another one he took off, and he was testing a new plane. And 240 were in his plane. 770 was the tail number, and he had my mom's name painted on the side of it with the tiger.
Oh, Dad's a romantic.
Things kind of thing, right?
Wait, Mom's name with tiger jaws? Oh, on the nose.
Yeah, the 2 times that he flew a different plane other than Jeannie, and that was my mom's name, one of them he was shot down, and the second one, as soon as he took off, the landing gear got stuck. It didn't go in, and so he had to go dump his ordnance and crash land the plane on its belly.
Really? What was a test plane he was flying?
They were both F4s.
Okay.
They were all F4s, every one of them.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so when he retired, of course, that was when he was a captain, I think when he was in Vietnam, and he retired a 4-star general. They found the plane, tail number 770. They found it. It was actually in Washington State's National Guard, and it had been slated to be a drone for target practice for other fighter pilots. And they said, don't shoot that one down. Let's fly that back. So they flew it back, and they put it on.
It's still operational?
Uh-huh.
I guess it was 90s.
Yeah, they flew it back, and they decommissioned it and took all the guts out of it and everything and put it on a pedestal, and it sits outside of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base they repainted it the Vietnam colors, and they put Genie, they repainted my mom's name on it and his name and his backseater's name, and they put the tiger jaws on it, and it sits outside of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base today.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
I love those old war stories, especially the Vietnam guys. Some of the stories are just crazy to me.
Yeah, it was.
And the tactics and stuff is where it started to evolve into
it was pretty cool.
Jungle warfare, if you will.
It was pretty cool stuff.
So, but you said Dad was maybe tough in war, but wasn't as hard on you growing up?
He was a sweetheart.
How was your upbringing, bouncing around?
Man, I loved it.
Yeah?
I did. I got to be honest.
You're not shy now. I'm guessing that kind of.
I don't know, man. I'm a professional new kid.
Okay.
Right. I moved every 2 years on average. So I went to 5 different elementary schools, 3 different junior highs, and 3 different high schools.
Damn.
So
did you play sports or anything?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I didn't really. I'm terrible at sports. I just am so uncoordinated. It's not even fun. I learned to juggle. I learned to juggle baseballs while I was playing Little League. That's how good I was.
You were standing out in the outfield, just entertaining yourself, hoping the ball didn't get hit to you.
That was exactly it. Sitting there picking daisies. I'm not an athletic guy, man. Never have been.
So, were you good at school? Or grade academic wise?
I was okay.
Okay.
I was okay. I mean, probably be average through most of it, be honest with you. It was boring to me.
So, all right, fair enough. You bounced around all over the East Coast. Where'd you go after high school?
After high school, I went to college.
Okay.
And I went to 2 different colleges. And
wasn't that boring if you wanted to go to college?
Well, I went to, I don't know if you've ever heard of East Carolina University.
Yeah.
But it's...
ECU, they got a football team.
Yeah, it's kind of a party school.
Yeah? Is it? I didn't know that. I just know they're in the American League, I think.
Well, back then in the 80s, it was a party school.
Okay. And Pirates? Is it the Pirates?
Pirates, that's it. Okay. ECU Pirates, yeah. And,
really?
So I partied for 2 years.
Did you get asked to leave because of your partying, or you said you went to 2?
I didn't actually get asked. I left before they asked me.
You threw in the towel, if you will.
I threw in the towel.
Okay.
And I transferred to...
Wait, let's go back to this party school. Hold on now.
Yeah.
What kind of party were we talking about? Were you at a fraternity? Was it that kind of scene?
This is fun.
What town is this in?
Greenville.
Okay.
Greenville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And my buddies and I, we did the fraternity rush thing that when we first did there, but none of it really seemed like we fit. I don't have anything against fraternities, but it just seemed exclusive. If you go with him, then you have to be with just these people, whatever. Yeah, so we started our own fraternity called Pi Kappa Kmart.
Pi Kappa Kmart.
Pi Kappa Kmart.
Okay.
And if you were a PKK is what we called it. And if you wanted to be a member of the fraternity, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who you are.
Okay.
It didn't even matter if you were in another fraternity. It didn't matter if you're male or female. You could be a girl and be a part of Pi Kappa Kmart.
Okay.
And they became some of the best parties in the whole school because everybody was invited. It wasn't just segmented kind of thing. So we could have everybody along. And
I actually grew up in a town where we went to Kmart.
Yeah, me too.
May I ask why the fraternity ends in Kmart?
It just alliterative. It just sounded
so there wasn't
good.
Anything.
We were probably sitting around drinking Budweiser and laughing and thinking we should start our own fraternity one day. And people just started throwing out names, and Pi Kappa Kmart just sounded good because everybody goes to Kmart.
Okay. I didn't know if maybe that's where you got your booze or whatever, but guess not.
We got it wherever we could get it.
Love it.
Wherever it was cheapest.
I love it.
Whatever was a Black Label, 99 cents a 6-pack we used to drink. Those were.
What was it? Was Natty Light in Milwaukee's We call him the Beast. Milwaukee's Beast.
Yeah. Or Meister Chow.
Ooh.
Meister Brow.
That sounds, I know.
You're going to be blowing chow if you drank that.
Uh-huh. All right. So, had a good time.
Yeah.
In Greenville.
Yeah.
And then, did you decide maybe you needed to grow up or not yet?
Yeah, I kind of semi-grew up, and then I transferred to Embry-Riddle in Daytona Beach.
Okay. Boy. Okay.
I went from the party school to the spring break capital.
Yeah. All right. That sounds like a good move if you're trying to get out of the party scene. But was there a trigger that while you left there, did something happen?
Yeah. I just realized that I basically, my first year, my freshman year, I actually did some academics, but my sophomore year, it was like, have you ever seen Animal House?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 0.0.
Okay, so you just...
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life. So.
Yeah, okay. So you clearly just weren't going to school.
I just wasn't. Yeah. I absolutely just failed at it, and I realized that I got to do something with my life, and I got to do something.
Was your folks pressuring you because you needed a degree? I mean, that's kind of that
they
era.
They weren't really pressuring me too much, but my dad was giving me that kind of, hey, this is costing me money.
Yeah.
And, and I'm
not paying for you to drink beer.
I tried to quit. I tried to get out, and I was going to go to L.A. This was 1986. I wanted to go to L.A. and be a rock star.
Real? Whoa. You can't throw something like that out there. Did you play an instrument? Did you sing?
Oh, yeah, guitar player.
Really?
Yeah, me and my buddy Pete Mayer, we were going to hitchhike to L.A. from Virginia.
You were going to be, 86. You were be up and coming Guns N' Roses or Bret Michael?
Yes, sir. Guns N' Roses, Ozzy. I wanted to be Randy Rhoads. I was really into the 80s metal, and
I love that era music, so I appreciate that. I just don't have any musical talent.
Yeah.
So you could play the guitar?
Yeah.
Did you play in East Carolina, or did you or was it just kind of a hobby?
It was kind of a hobby there, but my dad got my brother-in-law, who was a couple of years older than me at the time. He wasn't my brother-in-law at the time. He hadn't married my sister yet, but he got him to convince me to stay in school, get a degree before I go to L.A.
Okay.
So that's when I transferred to Embry-Riddle, and I did get a degree. I got a degree in aviation business administration, and now I'm a real estate instructor. So that worked out well.
Yeah. Well, so all right. So you moved to Daytona, logical place to move to if you want to get out of the party scene.
Yeah, I know, right? It's strange. It doesn't sound like it would, but it actually was, because Embry-Riddle was a small school. It was aviation oriented. I am a pilot. I grew up with my dad as a fighter pilot. I got my pilot's license when I was 16.
Did your dad continue to fly?
No, he never flew privately. He only flew military. Once when he was done, he was done. But I did.
You did?
Yeah.
So is that? I'm not as familiar with that school. Is it?
It's a flight school.
Okay, got it.
It's an aviation oriented school.
Got it.
They've got a campus in Fort Walton.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually the largest university in the United States enrollment-wise. There's a Embry-Riddle campus on every Air Force base. They have an enrollment of over 300,000 students a year.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. So I started to get my pilot's license, and I had little kids at the time, and I ended up just I didn't have the time to commit to it. And I feel like if I'm going to do this, this is how I want to do it. But I'm sure it was this guy. I had to go give a med check.
Yeah.
And I knew I was colorblind because of a test in college.
Yeah.
I literally went to a lab and they showed me the book. So this old guy, it's evidently where all the flight guys go to.
Right.
I bet he's probably since passed because this is some time ago, or I would hope retired.
Yeah.
But super cool, not knocking the gentleman. He's just more mature. And this is where they said, this is who you need to go get your flight check or whatever for your med. So he breaks out the book and I'm like, oh shit, I'm screwed. Because I see it. It's the book with all the dots and you're supposed to see the numbers.
Uh-huh.
And I said, no, sir, I can't see that one. And no, sir, I can't see. He said, come on over here, son. And we literally put me up under a lamp. 24.
Okay. Good enough.
16. Okay, you're good. Let's go. I'm thinking to myself, I can see red, green, and yellow. What the hell else colors do I need to see for a flight? But anyway, that was it. And I guarantee you that guy had something to do with that campus over there.
Yeah.
Just because of who he is and how I ended up there.
More than likely. That's good. Did you ever get it? Did you get the license?
I didn't. I stopped right after my solo. I just it was really I think probably a mature decision. I didn't have the time. Okay. Like I felt like I needed to be at least 3 or 4 hours a week.
Did they cut the back of your shirt off when you finished your first solo?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, maybe that's a military thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was doing it out of Destin with the private guy.
I got you. Yeah.
So they maybe not have been as serious as that. No, they didn't cut the back of my shirt off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I did landings and stuff. I loved it.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like.
Was it a Cessna?
Yeah. It was just a 172.
Yep.
And they had the old school one, like the 74 was just totally bare bones. And then they had the new one with at the time, the G1000, huge screen that you see today. I got to fly both of those, but I didn't get past that, which I was good with.
I had the old, the old knee. There was like a clipboard wrapped around your knee.
I fly with guys that still use those things.
And the slide rule.
I mean, I've seen commercial guys, or not commercial guys, but private guys in jets still sometimes have those things on.
Have that. That's backup, man. You gotta have that to where you're going. Yeah.
I feel like I almost be more comfortable with someone like that because they've been doing it probably a lot longer.
Right. What happens if the GPS goes out?
Yeah, exactly. You actually use your control. So anyway, I digress. So you got your pilot license.
Yeah. I don't fly anymore. I quit flying when my kid was born. My wife just was like,
well, that's same. I didn't even get there.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I gave up my motorcycle when my kid was born too.
Yeah, me
my
too.
First.
Me too. I know. I had to quit skydiving.
Responsibilities, Opey.
Flying. I had to,
a lot more like each other than I realized. I got to actually mature. I sold my Ducati 6 months after Harbour. So what was your goal? Mm-hmm. Did your dad push you in that direction or did you think you wanted to be a pilot? At that time?
I did it because I just wanted to make him proud of me. That's all I wanted. I did those things. I did get that degree. I went and worked for McDonnell Douglas in St. Louis for a couple of years.
Really?
Put on the suit and went to grad school to try to get a degree in international business. And I was okay at it, but it just wasn't me.
What were you doing there?
What's called international counter trade or offsets. Which is
what?
Well,
McDonnell Douglas makes airplanes, don't they?
They do, but they sell those airplanes to foreign countries.
Okay.
And I specifically worked on the Spanish offset program and the Korean offset program for military. These were the F-18s that they sold to Spain.
Okay.
And
what do you mean by offset program?
They sold 72 F-18s for the tune of $1.5 billion. At the time, that was a lot of money. But this is back in the 80s, right?
Yeah, that was a shitload of money.
And so Spain said, look, we'll buy these planes from you, but $1.5 billion is a lot of money coming out of our economy. So we'll buy them, but you have to generate an equal amount of economic activity for our country to offset the 1.8 that went out.
Okay.
And so that can be in the areas of technology transfer, or it can be in training, or it can be in, my job was imports and exports. So what I found was American companies that were willing to source Spanish products or to form joint ventures with Spanish companies where there was a net benefit to the Spanish and the Korean company. So it was fascinating and it was good. And but I woke up one morning, I put on the suit, and I just looked in the mirror, and I said, I am just too young for this old man's job. And they had some layoffs coming up, and so I volunteered for layoff.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you got a little payout, right?
Yeah, well, of course the guys knew my dad. I mean, let's be serious. The big defense contractor doesn't know the 4-star general's kid. That's why I got the job, for crying out loud. It wasn't about my stellar academic performance. I just told you I partied my ass off. I got a 4-year degree, and it only took me 5.5 years to get it.
Well, you're not getting any judgment over here. I don't even have one. I'm still there 4.5.
Yeah. But the guy made me, he said, I'll lay you off, but you can't put this on me. You got to tell your dad that you volunteered for layoff. Don't go throwing me under the bus.
Go tell daddy.
So I did.
But hey, look, I ask people there, especially in the wheelhouse of real estate, and all the podcasts I've done, especially with realtors, of their path. Mm. Everybody takes a different path for how to become in sales.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of times, in real estate too, it can be who you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily what you know, or how good are you, how smart are you, what, did you graduate first? No.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be who you know. So I don't fault anybody for that of using a connection. It's been,
I didn't. I did it because I thought
you had it, tried it. It didn't work for you.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It didn't work for me, and so then I quit, and then I moved to L.A. and joined a band.
Okay. So do they still? I'm just curious about this. This is for my own knowledge, and you may or may not know, but do they still do some kind of offset program?
Oh yeah,
programs.
Oh yeah.
It seems a lot healthier than pissing contest about tariffs. Now I think we're way over leveraged, and I agree with what they're trying to do with the tariffs. But that type of program seems a little more constructive and healthier to me.
I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah,
I think it's why do it at a governmental level? It's capitalism. It's, hey, you want to buy my planes, and these are expensive, and if you do, I'll help and generate economic activity. The amount of money that McDonnell Douglas spent in for their employees and to do the work to generate the economic activity for Spain was minuscule compared to the profit that they're making off of the sale of the planes. It's good business.
Yeah,
it was good
but
business.
In theory, you could also say, all right, we're going to have this factory and we're going to build whatever, the landing gear, whatever, something like that too. Well, it also come back and benefit, or is that not really the way it's structured?
No. That's exactly what it is. It could be in-country manufacturing of subparts and whatever those things may be. I specifically worked on sourcing Spanish products, and I had to deal with the Grand Central Station in Chicago, and they were putting new marble down in the train station in Chicago. And I knew the guy that was the guy that was the buyer for that, and I tried to convince him to buy Spanish marble, and because we would get offset credit for that, and he took it under advice. It was like a sales job. It was like like a pharmaceutical rep showing up. Hey, buy my product, right?
I got this.
Yeah, and listen, we can help you with all this. McDonnell Douglas is a multinational company. Of course, they were bought out by Boeing, but back in the day, they were pretty big. And they found out that the Spanish marble wasn't the quality that the Italian marble was. And so what we convinced him to do, though, was to go ahead and buy the Italian marble, but the Italian craftsmen that have to refine that marble into tiles are not near as good as the Spanish craftsmen. So buy the Italian marble, ship it to Spain. Spain will then go ahead and craft it into tiles, and then we'll ship it from Spain here, and we'll coordinate all of that for you, so you don't have to take care of any of that. McDonnell Douglas has offices in country, in Italy, in Spain, and everywhere, so we'll coordinate all of that for you.
That's pretty cool.
You don't have any of that cost, and that's it. So the tile that currently sits in the, I presume it's still there in the Chicago Grand Central Station. I had a hand in getting it from Italy to Spain to Chicago. That was my one success in international business.
Okay.
and then I went to rock and roll.
Okay. So all right. So rolled up and moved to LA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You metal band? Come on, you got to paint a picture for this, dude.
Band called Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had a song called Dancing with the Damned. Yeah, it was real 80s metal-ish. But this was in the early 90s. No.
Okay.
Oh, I sing backup.
You just hit
harmonies.
A note, so see.
I backups and harmonies, but no, I wasn't a lead singer at all. But and then I was in a band called Boot, which was because early 90s metal dropped off, and so that Hell's Kitchen thing had to go away real big, and we all
Nirvana.
We had to cut our hair.
Yeah.
I had a hair.
Did you have to go grunge?
Down to absolutely went grunge. Changed the name of the band to Boot.
Okay. Was it the same guys? Or?
Three of them were the same.
Okay.
And we played all over L.A., the Viper Room, the Roxy, the Whiskey, all that.
No shit.
Stuff,
were you making money? I mean,
it was pay to play back then. They didn't pay you. We had to go sell tickets. But
So how are you making a living?
Like everybody else in L.A. Hi, welcome to McDonald's. I'm going to take your order. I worked at so many restaurants in L.A. That's where I made my money.
Okay.
And
these waiting tables and whatever?
Waiting tables during the day and at night, and then heading to the Sunset Strip to play.
That's
We're
got to
gonna
be
make
brutal.
it, dude, one of these days. And rehearsing every night.
Well, I guess you're what, 25?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
I guess I
brutal.
could pull that off at 25.
It wasn't. It was the time of my life, man.
Yeah?
Time of my life.
You loved it?
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I'm presuming you were single?
Yes. I definitely.
I mean, on that, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it was fun. And then I got in a band called Flux, and we ended up opening up for Adam Ant. There's a long, any of you 80s fans remember Adam Ant, and we opened up for him on his U.S. tour in 96, and when that tour was over, I was done.
Why? Like, I'm picturing the Motley Crue and Ozzy Osbourne sniffing ants. Is that how bad it was?
Yeah.
Was it partying?
It was. It was a lot of the partying, and it was the time being on stage and playing was great. And I was just the opening act. I know those people weren't there to see me, right? They were there to see Adam Ant. And
I never heard of Adam Ant.
Adam Ant, goody two shoes. Don't drink, don't smoke. What do? You don't drink, don't smoke. You never heard of that? He was a late 70s, early 80s British invasion, kind of new wave kind of stuff. Huge following. I was never a big fan of his.
I'm going to have to get on the Google. But you were, so what
Google
kind of music was this, like, at this time?
It was just pop.
Okay.
Really. It's just pop music. And
this is mid-90s, so it's like...
Yeah, my band Flux, we'd gone from heavy metal to grunge to kind of Elvis Costello meets Green Day.
Okay.
And that's what people describe this as.
Yeah.
And we did it. It was
kind of fun, good vibe.
It was a lot of drinking and other products.
Picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, exactly. And
I've read the book, seen the movies.
I just said, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to see, because I grew up being in the audience, looking up at the stage, and for 4 months I got to be on the stage and look down into the audience and play. And
that's got to be pretty cool to draw big crowds.
And the internet was just starting at that time, so I started a web company.
Wait a second. You went from being in a, let's say, rock band, and you're like, oh, all right, I'm going to screw this, and I'm going to go start a web company. Yep. On a pretty, like a 96, 97?
This is, 96, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was early on, and I taught myself how to program. I've always been a programming geek. I had one of those Commodore 64s back in the 70s and taught myself how to program in BASIC and COBOL, and I was a real geek. And still am. I'm just a tech nerd, and I love it.
Okay.
And so I started getting into this. Started off with HTML, was all brand new, and then there was Perl, which was server side scripting, and then Microsoft came out with something called Active Server Pages, and databases came where, originally the web was just individual static web pages, but then you could incorporate a database. And so I started a company and got did real well with it. Interweb Data Concepts
Are you still in LA at this point?
No, I moved home.
Which was?
I started a company.
You never told me where home was.
Then I moved home here.
Here.
My parents had retired and they lived here, and I'd never lived here. I went to college in Daytona Beach, but they said, come see us. And I came here for Thanksgiving of 96 and fell in love with the place and flew back to LA and packed up my stuff and drove cross country and got here in early 97.
You just call them up and say, I'm done with the rock scene? Pretty much?
Well, at the time I was working for a computer company in LA, just
okay, so you kind of had got
it. And I just said, I'm on my way.
I can do this myself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was your dad stationed here at one of the bases at some point?
It was one of his bases. Eglin was one of his bases.
Okay.
When he was the 4-star, he was the, back then they called it Tactical Air Command. Today they call it ACC, but it was all the fighter planes. So my dad was like the head fighter pilot in the Air Force.
No shit.
All of the fighter planes and all the bases that had fighters were under his command. So Eglin was one of his bases.
Sounds like
and so was Tyndall, right?
Uh-huh.
And so this was an area he was familiar with because he would travel to the bases.
He wasn't stationed here, but he'd come.
He wasn't ever stationed here. No, we never were stationed here, but they were one of his bases. So when he came time to retire, he retired in Shalimar, built a house.
Awesome.
And got cancer and died.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. Just said that so nonchalantly. Well, it sounded like
it's been 30 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got it, but still,
it was tough.
It sounds like a pretty cool and badass job. I'm in charge of all the fighter planes for the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. He was like a pretty cool title.
He was a badass.
So, all right. So you moved back here or moved here.
I moved
You've never been here.
Met a girl, fell in love, got married, got a house that you closed.
Right.
You were my first.
So you said 25 years ago. Was this
about 25, 26 years ago.
2001, 2002? If I was here, but at least two.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly when it was, but you were the closer at Setco on them. I still have the documents.
Really?
Still have
Is it framed?
File cam.
Do we have a picture?
Yes, and I have a picture of you next to it. I was hoping you would sign it.
Okay, all right. I'd be happy to. We're going to be happy to. I didn't know I had made that big of an impact. I'm sure if it was early on, it probably wasn't a good experience. Yeah. But you hadn't said anything negative about it. So
I'll tell you what, it's funny because I remember sitting at the closing table and you actually handing me these documents, right? And this is the first time I'd ever met you. Yeah. I didn't know you. But we would later cross paths in other places. But I remember you handing me these documents and me looking at these things going, good God almighty, who would ever want to know any of this stuff? Because you knew what you were talking about. Yeah. You knew what each document was.
By the way, I was bullshitting the whole way.
Thank God, because I had no idea. You know what I did? I did the thing where I looked at the thing and I pretended to read it. Like, and you say, just initial at the bottom. And I go, hold on, I want to read it first. I had no idea. It might as well have been hieroglyphics. I had no idea what it was.
I know attorneys, mainly in other states, that would do this. Uh-huh. If you want the brutal, honest truth, if they're loan documents, sign these if you want the money.
Yeah.
Because you're 99% residential deal, Bank of America, you're not going to change their documents.
No.
So
I wanted to make my new bride believe that
you knew what you were doing.
But it was all
you weren't in real estate yet, right?
No, I hadn't. I was still a computer programmer. I hadn't even touched real estate.
So go back to that real quick. You started a company here late 90s?
Yep, late 90s.
And what were you doing? Programming?
We were building custom database-driven web applications for small businesses.
Okay.
Small to medium-sized businesses.
Did y'all get caught up in the .com?
A little bit.
Crash?
And, not in the crash. We never went public or anything like that. We had a good solid, client base.
So more local.
No, it was all over the country. We had clients all over the place. We had them in New York. In fact, in 9/11, we lost 4 clients whose offices were in the Twin Towers.
Shit. Okay.
And, but no, they're all over the country. They're small businesses that keep in mind at that time, what you have WordPress now, the WordPress wasn't around back then. We were building an early version of WordPress.
Okay.
It was a database-driven website where the people that owned the website could actually log into a back end and update their content.
Make changes.
Make changes to it.
Yeah.
And we built like one of the
You
first
built that?
shopping
Like your own?
We built it custom for every client.
God, sounds painful.
I even built a couple of real estate agent websites back in the day when there were no agent websites. There was no IDX. There was no MLS plugin or anything else like that. Do you know Jeanette Klein?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I built Jeanette Klein's website.
I'm going to get my parents to listen to this
back in the day when Jeanette was AbbottRealty.com.
Oh, yeah.
Abbott.com.
You know, that's how we got here, kind of.
Yeah.
Not Jeanette, Abbott. But,
yeah.
Yeah. And then she still sells.
Yeah. And then I sold the company. A guy that was a client of mine who had worked, or actually his wife's business was a client of mine. He worked for AOL, and AOL had just sold to Time Warner, and he didn't like the new corporate structure, and he liked my business model, and so he made me an offer. He made me an offer that I couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
So I sold my company to him, and then we built a house, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and Brian Kiefer's class came along, and Brian Kiefer and I had a mutual friend, and I said, well, I'll just go take this real estate class. What the hell? I mean, how hard could it be? All they do is drive around, show pretty properties, write a contract, and get a big check.
Exactly.
I've seen the TV shows. Yeah. This real estate stuff is easy.
From computer programmer to realtor.
That's
just
it,
a cakewalk.
Right there. It's going to be a cakewalk.
Did you have any workout in your buyout?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Actually, I did. I stayed on for another year and a half as a consultant. I didn't have to work every day, but I stayed on as a consultant. But then that guy sold it to another guy out in California. And the guy that he sold it to out in California and I were, I'd known him. We were acquaintances, but I liked him. And so I just kind of hung and helped him out.
Gotcha.
Probably for another 10 years, I kept writing stuff for him.
Really?
Because the software had advanced, and the legacy software that I wrote, there was no one that could write the code anymore because the new programmers were all writing in the new languages, and that was legacy. It was old. It was antiquated, and these people didn't want to pay the money to upgrade to all new software because it was working fine for them, but they still needed someone to support it and to add little modules here and there.
Can you still code some? Do you still?
I code today. I do, but just for fun.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I play around with WordPress and I play around with some PHP programming, and I write little programs on my computer just for fun. Like if I want to do something, like I want to rename a bunch of files, like image files, and I want to rename them something, I'll just write a little script and it'll rename everything. Tidewater 505-1, Tidewater 505-2.
Okay.
Instead of right click, rename. Because, when you take pictures with the camera, it comes through. Yeah.
That's what I do.
I just write a little script to do it. It's fun.
Okay.
It's fun for me to do.
Call Opey next time I need to rename a bunch of files.
I'll be happy to do that.
Okay. So, all right. You take the Kiefer class. This is what? Yeah. Give me a timestamp.
2004.
Okay.
Early 2004. And
market's still
I took the
pretty on fire.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I took the Kiefer class, and I really liked Brian Kiefer. And I really liked the class, and I thought it was really great. And so I got my license, and then a couple months later, Kiefer calls me up and says, "Hey, man, I need someone to help me teach real estate." And I said, dude, I just got my license. I haven't even sold a single property. Yeah. And he said, yeah, but the class you took is not a class on how to be successful in real estate. It's a class on how to pass the state exam. And you did that. And I went, yeah, I guess so. And he said, I'll pay you X amount of dollars per class. And I went, well, okay, what do I got to do? He says, well, you got to pass the instructor exam. I'm like, well, what's that? He said, it's the broker exam, but really, really hard and with extra teaching stuff made into it. And I'm like, well, where's the class for that? He goes, there isn't one. I said, well, thanks.
That makes sense.
Thanks for dangling that carrot in front of me, that sweet, delicious carrot, and now telling me I have to walk over molten glass shards in order to get to it.
It's about as big as Monopoly as it is to get your title insurance license. But anyway, that's for a whole nother discussion. Actually, point of fact, I told you I don't take notes. The one note I wrote was instructor because I was curious how you ended up being an instructor.
That was it.
So he just asked you?
That was it. Brian Kiefer.
You're a good test taker, I guess?
Yeah, he said, study the broker test. And here's some other stuff that they ask about teaching techniques and communication styles, and study that and then go take it. And so
This time, was it written?
No, this was on the computer.
Okay.
At Pearson.
Weren't they doing the
back then it was called Promisor, but
I thought some of them up until like the mid-teens you still had a writing part of, maybe that's just the
not for the instructor.
Okay.
Not for this.
Anyway,
it was
just curious.
It was an old DOS program, if that helps.
Yeah. Did you just manipulate it? So
yeah, well, I failed it twice, and I tell the story when I'm teaching classes. I always say, yeah, well, I know what it's like to fail that instructor. I failed the instructor test twice, and then it's always like, doesn't that give you confidence?
Yeah, exactly.
But I passed it on the third time, and it was a tough test. And then Kiefer started saying, okay, well, you can teach chapter 1 of the sales associate pre-license course. So you just study up on chapter 1, and I'll have you come into class, and I'll sit in the back of the room, and you can teach chapter 1. And so I taught chapter 1, and then it was chapter 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, and 3. And then it was like, okay, you can teach all of day 1. And then it was all of day 2, and then day 3. And then eventually it was, you can go to Panama City and teach your own class if you're ready. And so started with that, and then I started teaching the post-license class and the broker class and all of that. And and I've taught for Kiefer for about 19 years.
Really?
Yeah. And then...
Did you retire?
No, he's still going, but...
no, he is, but you don't teach anymore?
No, I do teach. I started my own school.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So
well,
Russ
right.
Harbour Real Estate School. We're in Panama City Beach on Middle Beach Road, right across from the Wicked Wheel, right? And there's two little octagonal buildings, and one of them is the real estate school, and the other one's Gulf Life Real Estate.
Right down the street from Setco.
Right down the street from Setco.
That's right. So
my favorite title agency, by the way.
Thank you, Opey, for that little plug. I appreciate that.
And you know what? I'm not kidding about that either. I'm not saying you're my favorite title agency, so don't get a big head on you, George.
I don't care if anybody knows me. I want to know the wonderful people I get to work with.
Well, no, Maureen Richardson is as good as it gets.
Well, thank you for saying that. But
really doesn't. So.
We won't cut it out, but I'm not sure I'm going to tell her to listen because, her head.
Mo and I go way back.
You do.
And she still is, whenever I have a choice of what title company I'm going to use, then when I have a listing or whatever it is, or if I have any influence over the listing agent and beg them to use Mo at Setco. That's what I always do.
I want to thank you for saying that. And just so you know, I think she feels the same way because she called me 10 minutes before I walked in here to check on, make sure you were okay.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
She's an angel. Listen, I'm not
too.
kidding. If you're in the real estate business right now, it is incredibly important. And this is unpaid. You're not paying me to say this, but I'm saying this in general. It's incredibly important what title company you use. Yep. When I first got in the business, it was like, what title company do I choose? I don't care. This one, that one, whatever. As a broker with 65 agents now, we deal with all kinds of title companies. And I've never had a problem that wasn't immediately addressed and solved with Setco.
Well, thank you.
And there's another title company. I won't say their name because it's your podcast, but there's another title company that I use that I can say that about. I can't say that about any other title company that I've used. There are problems that show up, and sometimes they just disappear, or they ghost you on it, or they just don't know how to solve the problem, so they stick their head in the ground.
Notorious for our business.
Unbelievable. And I mean, issues with legal descriptions and title defects and all kinds of stuff that pop up that should have been seen beforehand. We had a closing not too long ago where it wasn't a closing because they had the wrong payout on the HUD to the seller's lender. It was the wrong amount on there. It was off by about $75,000. And the seller's the one that caught it. Now, that's a title company thing. You call and get your loan payoff from the lender, and somebody made that mistake. It ended up pushing the closing back a week.
Jeez.
It delayed the closing. And the buyers were staying in a hotel and couldn't take possession of the property because it wasn't closed, and the sellers didn't want the liability.
Look, we're not perfect. I appreciate you saying that. But you made a comment that I use a lot, and stick your head in the ground. Realtors do it. Title companies do it. And it's like, hey, the problem's not going to go away. I coach and encourage our people. If you make a mistake, own up to it. I'm sorry goes a long way, but I'm fixing it.
Fix it.
Yeah, I'm fixing it. Like, the payoff example. There's no reason a payoff should take a week, but unless there's a government loan, but that's a whole nother podcast probably.
It was.
Okay. Well, then I don't know.
All the more reason why it should have been taken care of.
Yeah.
A week before closing.
They are a ridiculous pain in the ass of what you can expect. The SBA getting, it's not easy to get a loan from them anymore, but getting money is one thing. Paying them back.
Right.
I mean, it's like some of these companies trying to end a subscription. It is impossible to give them money back.
That's weird.
I know. It's like, I just want to
don't
pay
give
them.
it back, then we can't make money off of it anymore. What do you know?
Exactly what it is.
We're the ones that give you money. You don't give it back to us. Anyway, they're giving it back to us. You want it?
Yeah. But to your point too, I've said on this podcast multiple times, I have great competition in all of our markets, but not all title companies, just like realtors, are created equal.
Right.
And you have good competition and you have bad competition. And sometimes the bad competition markets for you and sometimes they use things against you. But they're real estate closings. You know this. You've been doing it long enough.
Right.
There's too many moving parts. Things are going to go wrong. But if you take a team approach, you and I are working together to an end game. And one bad apple messes that path up. And that's a lot of times what happens. And 95% of problems with closings are communication. Mm-hmm. And if you just openly communicate, hey, I messed up, but I'm fixing it. And here's how I'm going to fix it.
Right.
Does a closing push sometimes? Sure. Mm-hmm. But we're as proactive as we can be, but we're not perfect. And I don't tell anybody that we are.
Well, let me say one other thing about that. And because this is something that Maureen Richardson, Mo, right? Mm-hmm. And a couple of others are really good about taking that approach. We have a problem to solve, and the problem to solve is to get this thing closed.
Yeah.
Right. And there's an end result. It's results driven, and Maureen is results driven. So much so that I've gotten phone calls from her on a Saturday or a Sunday to remind me to make sure I get this thing to her on Monday morning. Right.
Yeah.
Where she's following up with me. And I say, as an instructor, when I'm coaching agents and I'm teaching agents and everything, I tell them this is a bell ringing business. Don't call someone and ask for something and expect that HOA person to get you a copy of the condo docs before, when they say they're going to do it. People will drop the ball all over the place. You got to constantly be ringing people's bells. And what I like is when one of my service providers, in this business, the title company or inspectors or lenders or, anybody that provides around us, the people that we do business with, when they're ringing my bell, that's someone I'm going to do business with on a regular basis. And this particular company and I won't say their name, but this particular company that we had the issue that couldn't get this thing closed because they couldn't get the payoff, clocked out at 4:00 on a Friday and there was nothing we could do until 9 a.m. on Monday morning. And I tell new agents when they first get in, I said, in real estate, it's not 9 to 5. We don't get weekends. We get weekends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and exactly. And as a broker, I tell my agents that I work for you. You don't work for me. The agents don't work for the broker. The broker works for the agents. You're my clients. I don't get paid unless you get paid. And if you're working, I'm working. And you're working on Saturday showing property or holding open houses or doing things. You're working on Sunday. You're working, late at night, somebody comes, 8:00 at night, the buyer finally says, we're ready to make an offer. And now you're freaking out and got to get this thing written up, right? The fact that it's not a 9 to 5 thing, when I have a service provider, vendors, I guess, if you will, that understands that works with me in the hours when it's not 9 to 5, I don't clock out. I can't not answer my phone when an agent calls. I have to answer it. It doesn't matter if it's 6:00 a.m. on a Saturday morning or if it's 8:00 on a Tuesday night. It doesn't matter. I've got to be there when they need me.
Sure.
And having people like you guys and Mo and that are always there. Mo answered her phone when she was in like Jamaica or the Bahamas one time. And
I have to talk to her about that.
I know. And I said, Mo, what are you answering the phone for in Jamaica or the Bahamas? She goes, no, I just wanted to make sure you are right. I'm on thinking, who do I need to tell to take care of something for you? And was able to take care of that for me. So it's really important. I really like the company. Don't get me wrong. Setco's probably my favorite. And I'm not saying that because I'm on your podcast. It's true. Anybody that ever knows me knows that I'm always recommending you guys. And I also recommend a couple others that I think are really good as well. But
we're going to change that. But
because of that. It's because of that. It's because you guys go the extra mile. You understand that this isn't 9 to 5.
Well, and I'll just piggyback on it a little bit. And this is more of a general comment. We understand, our people, my team understands y'all's work hours, if you will. And a lot of it is, off time, whether it's, weekends or evenings, the ability to show property, here unique, you do a lot of condos, turnover, it's the only time you can get in there is turnover on Saturday. And, sheets are off the bed and all that stuff, but still trying to show property. I think the big difference with a good team, and I say a team, some people look at their title company as I'm sending you this business, even though the realtor's not paying for it. Well, you work for me. That's not, you can't do what I do and I can't do what you do.
Right.
If it's a team approach, I'm going to be way more interested in helping you as somebody that's talking down to me. And this is more of a general comment.
Sure.
And then well, I gave you that business, handle it. Well, it's a title problem. It's your seller. We need to fix it together. I need you to get your seller to get his mom to sign this and this and this. It's a team effort, and it gets fixed. Yeah. And it's the ones that are like, no, that's your problem. I think, well, just because it's a title problem, it doesn't mean it's just mine. It's your seller's problem too.
Yes. So, but you're the ones that are going to help. The seller doesn't know anything. They don't know this.
They probably didn't even know it existed.
Had no idea.
Anyway, I appreciate you saying that. I also teach classes like yourself. You've actually been to some of my classes.
Yes,
where I scare the hell out of people about fraud.
I have. But no, in fact, you were one of the very first title companies. I think this was back in like 2016 when the wire fraud started becoming a major problem. I was at Beachy Beach at the time. I
remember.
And you came in.
We're going to flip back there in a second, but
and you came in and gave that on wire fraud. And to this day, wire fraud prevention notice goes out with every single deal.
Awesome. Everybody hear that out there? All you realtors? That's amazing because we do it now. You actually, on our software, you have to watch a video and then sign an authorization about how it works. And it's saved RA a couple of times. But, I was the first one, at least in the Panhandle, going out and teaching. And it was more reactive. Not only to protect us, because when you potentially almost lost $170,000 of someone else's money, it puckers you up a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
But it's also, I knew the writing on the wall because they were attacking the realtors' emails. They were using the realtors to get to us. And guess what happened? I didn't want it to happen, but there are multiple lawsuits across the country that have been settled and or in court. Now you have rulings where the realtor had culpability.
Right.
And one of them, I think the realtor was 85% responsible and the buyer was 15. So, and it's not, it was a little bit of a scare tactic just to make people aware.
Right.
And you saw the class. That's a whole nother podcast too, but let's go back to talking about you. In my mind, right or wrong, because I know there's some companies, not real estate agents and title companies that would rather just pay it out or file an insurance claim and suppress it. And I don't think that's healthy for the market if people don't know. You've got new agents coming in. They're susceptible. They use whatever, Gmail. They get hit up or their buyers they need to be knowledgeable about it.
Right.
Because you get burned one time. I mean, you like in this market, we had someone, I helped them recover $900,000.
Exactly.
I mean, you're talking about $10 million properties over here wiring their money.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Well, I think it speaks to a larger issue in that what a lot of people don't seem to realize it. And I'm speaking to you realtors, right? And that is details matter.
Yeah.
Right. And
is that part of your class?
Yeah, it is. But it's not just the wire fraud prevention notice. It's the lead-based paint disclosure being signed prior to contract. Sure. It is the deliverance of the condo governance form and the energy efficiency brochure and all of the things that, these details matter. I once said that, lawyers make their money in the details, right? Hey, he was guilty, but he got off on technicality, right? And I was teaching a class that time, and Brian Kiefer, who is a lawyer, was walking in the back of the class, and he stopped and he said, "Opey, that's incorrect." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Brian J. Kiefer, Esquire. Would you like to come up and clarify where lawyers make their money?" He said, "I absolutely would. Thank you for the opportunity." And he stood up in front of the class and he said, "Lawyers make their money in the minute details." Dropped the mic, walked out.
Sounds about right.
And you got to pay attention to these details because there are traps everywhere in this business, and the general public doesn't seem to see that. And when you have a really good agent that pays attention to those details, like wire fraud, like lead paint, like all the different disclosures that are there, making sure condo owners get the condo docs, making sure you get the HOA covenants and restrictions to prospective buyers, having conversations with the sellers up front to get what they need and make sure that their payoffs are correct. All these kinds of things is what goes into a relatively smooth closing.
Sure.
But people don't see that because it happens behind the scenes.
I mean, we've had people, let's say, get out of contracts, one way or another, and you're talking about the minute details. One day off, one box wasn't checked, one little thing in the contract, and a good attorney is going to pick it apart, and they'll probably find something as much as you try and button it up. There's a lot of information there, but. So I want to go back to when did you were teaching, you got your license.
Right.
When did you start selling?
I didn't start. Well, I
Or
started
would you get
selling
in the market, I guess.
Yeah, well, I started teaching with Kiefer, and I did start selling. My first company was Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
And
you were in PCB at this time?
No, I was in Destin.
Okay.
And the Coldwell Banker was actually in Niceville. Believe it or not, it was JME. Do you remember Coldwell Banker JME?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Endry.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first brokerage. And then I left them and I went to a guy that was doing a development. So it was kind of pre-construction, condo kind of stuff like that. And that didn't really work out for me very well. And so I had a buddy of mine that was a financial advisor, and he said, "Hey, you should, get your financial advisor licenses. Come work with me." And so I went and got my Series 7 and my 66 and my Life, Health, and VA.
You just like gathering up licenses.
I'm just a license whore. That's what it was. You need a license for that? I'm in.
You're one of these guys that got like 10 little acronyms behind your name.
Yeah. I need a license. Yeah, I'm jonesing for a freaking license.
That's right.
Tell me a license. But that I got my financial advisor license in June of 2007.
Oh, great timing.
By the time
that's a good time of getting your real estate license.
Clients, everything just fell off of a cliff. And a dear friend of mine and a broker out in Panama City Beach, Jeannie Carter, was sitting on site at the shores of Panama.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you can come sell for us here. And I'd done a little bit of sales before, but that's really when it kind of took off, like 2007, 2008, and I started selling condos.
Still not a great time to be in real estate either.
Well, it turned out for
unless
me,
you can make it.
It turned out for me that was one of the best times in my real estate career because one, you couldn't get a loan on anything on any of those Gulfront condos. That condo tel thing and the non-warrantable thing, nobody was buying. But prices just collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And rich people get richer in down markets. Yeah. You just need to focus on where you are. I had a guy that came into the shores in, I think, 2007. He said, "How much are those one bedrooms going for?" And I think at the time they were almost $300,000 at the time, one bedroom with a bunk at the shores. And he came in and I said, I said 300. He goes, "Nah, we're in a bubble. It's going to crash." And I gave him the schmarmy thing. I said, "Well, you better buy now. Next year it might be 400,000. Sign here." Like a dumbass. And about a year later, he comes back in. He goes, "Hey, you remember me?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember you. Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "How much are those one bedrooms going for now?" I said, "About $150." And he's like, "I'll take 3.
Nice.
Cash close in a week.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of cash condo deals back then.
So you could.
And because you could. And I was like, so much so that, I would come home and I would say to my wife, "Hey, honey, I wrote a contract today." And she says, "Great. Where are we going this weekend?" And then I finally, when the lending environment opened up a little bit and I was like, "Hey, honey, I wrote a contract today. Where are we going this weekend?" "Oh, we're not because it doesn't close for 30 days. And she goes, "What kind of crap is that?"
Yeah. Get the loans.
I'm like, "Hey, this one's a loan." A loan?
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's where I cut my teeth on Gulfront condos in Panama City Beach, and I loved it. And I walked into, and I live in South Walton. I live just outside of Sandestin, right? And so I had a coach that told me to pick a farm area, and he made me pick 5 different areas that I could go into, and so I picked like Miramar Beach, and I picked, of course, I think North Santa Rosa Beach and 30A, and I think Destin condos, and I said, "There's the 4. I don't want to go any farther than that." And he was like, "You got to pick 5." And nothing was happening in Freeport at the time, so I wasn't going north of the bridge. And I said, "All right, if I have to, I'll take Panama City Beach. It's on the outskirts. It'll never, just to satisfy him. I'll just tell him." And he made me.
Before you went to the shores or after?
This was before the shores,
which is
shortly before the shores, because that's what made me think that I want to go there. So I went out. He said, "You got to go. You got to put your butt in at least 3 listings." okay, in 3 different buildings and 3 different places in each of these farm areas. And I want you to go put your butt in each one and just kind of get familiar with the area. That way you got to kind of be, his analogy was you got to date a few before you get married.
Yeah.
And so I dated all the other ones, and I was pretty sure I was going to go to Destin. I liked the condo concept. And then I walked into it wasn't the Shores. I think it was Tidewater. It was the first one I walked into. And I stood on that balcony, and it was one of those days where the Gulf is just like glass.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun was beating out.
Were you up high?
Warm, up high.
Yeah, I love that.
I sat there and I looked at that, and it was almost a spiritual experience. And I thought to myself, this could be my office.
Mm-hmm.
I like this.
Yeah.
And it was real easy to get from, there was nothing on 30A at the time.
Yeah.
It was a straight shot and no construction and none of the extra business stuff. So it didn't take me long to get here. And so that's when I said, I think I'm going to pick Panama City Beach. And shortly after that, I got the call from Jeannie, and I said, look at that. That just everything, the sun and the moon all aligned on it. And that's what got me out there. But I love condos, and I still do. And I just closed on one last week.
Nice.
So
that's the biggest concentration of the Panhandle of them. I mean, there's some in Destin, but in I would say newer, but potentially you have new products in Panama City Beach. There's some potential in Destin, but that's about it. You can't do it on 30A.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with Destin. I just, even though I live there, and I've never lived in Panama City Beach, I still have lived in Okaloosa and Walton for like the past 30 years. But we're moving. The wife and I are going to Latitudes. We haven't signed.
Come on, dude.
We haven't signed the deal yet, but we figure at 55 and older, it's time to hang it up and go hang out with some more of those 80s new wave headbangers.
Hold on, we ain't even gotten there yet. You can't hang it up yet because you. All right, so you stayed at the Shores for how long, and then you went to where?
I was at the Shores, and then I was teaching a broker class for this young lady. Maybe you've heard of her, Karen Smith, right? Mm-hmm. And she got her broker license, and then she started this little tiny brokerage called Beachy Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that your Karen's accent?
Oh my goodness! Oh my darling, sweetie, honey, babe. Let me tell you something. You're so sweet. Just leave me a sweet message when you call. That's all I want.
That's pretty damn good.
Pretty good on her. I got that little shrimp boat down pat.
How long were you there?
I love her. She called me and she said, I just started this brokerage and I'd really like it if you would come help me train some agents. She had, I think, 5 agents at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Beachy Beach and back when they were tiny, they were nothing, and worked for them for a couple of years, and then I started my own brokerage. And
what year was that?
That was 2013, I think, 12 or 13, somewhere around there. 4-Star Realty, right?
Were you still you were at Beachy Beach some though, like in 16?
Yeah, well, I ended up going back to them.
Oh, okay. So that's not the one now. I'm sorry, 4-Star. Okay.
Yeah, that was. I left and did 4-Star, but then my mom got Alzheimer's. And so
was she still in Shalimar at the time?
No, she was at the time.
Yeah.
She was in Shalimar, but I also have a brother that had Down syndrome, and so it was the two of them, and she was getting Alzheimer's, so they both needed to be taken care of, and they weren't at the point to put them in a facility or something like that. So I became a full-time caregiver. And from 2014, May of 2014, we bought a big house and moved my mom and my brother in. And in early 2015, I was pulling my hair out and I didn't know what to do. And I got an offer to be a productivity coach at Keller Williams. And that at least was 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't sell real estate. At a moment's notice, you got to go show property or, there's nothing to rely on. So at least I could have someone there with my mom and my brother while 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And so I could cover that. And that's when I was there for about a year. And then Karen called me up and said, "What the hell are you doing coaching for Keller Williams? Why aren't you coming over here? I'll let you wear flip-flops and shorts." I said, "Yes, Mama Bear, I'm coming home."
All right. So that had to be
that's
like
when
16,
we ran
17?
into you again after there. So 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And 19, 20. Yeah, it wasn't until 2020
because you were there during Michael.
Yeah, I left Beachy Beach. Yeah, we did a lot of chainsawing. I left Beachy Beach in like June, I think, of 2020. So
were you selling it all in that time?
No, I was just training.
Okay.
I'd sell a little bit. I don't really sell much anymore. I take care of my past clients, but, or if it's a personal friend or something like that. But I just full-time broker these days. But Kiefer hired me to be a broker for Sand Dunes Real Estate and I did that for a couple of years, and then I just went, it's time for me to take another stab at my own brokerage. Both my mom and my brother had passed away, and so my schedule had kind of opened up, and my wife said, time to start it. Just go do your own thing, and that's when I started. Gulf Life Real Estate was started, and we got the official company paperwork done on February 2nd of 22, 22, which is kind of cool. I didn't plan this, by the way. I'm not that smart. Groundhog Day is when we started it, and we officially were approved by the DBPR on April Fool's Day the same year. So we started on Groundhog Day and got approved and opened our doors on April Fool's Day of 22. And we went from 3 agents, and now we're at 65. We didn't have an office when we started it, and now we've got 3.
All in Bay County?
All in Bay County.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have aspirations of moving east or west?
I would love to move west, but y'all got some high rent district over here.
Yep.
It's real pensive.
Yep.
Real pensive. So, and real estate having offices is for real estate having offices is agents don't come into offices anymore.
No. We've changed our marketing strategies.
Yeah. So
you have to actually pick up the damn phone. You can't walk into from a title company perspective, us calling on real estate agents. We're still going through some of the changes that of the market as a whole, but our strategy post-COVID is, for, until mid 22, it was gangbusters. We didn't we marketed, but we didn't, it was just, everybody's just so busy. It was more trying to keep, good, healthy closings, customer service, and liability. Then 22, all of a sudden, I think it was June 30th. It was like literally, boot, boot.
Yep.
And, we started to look at, but people aren't in the office. So, you can hire technically a realtor in Pensacola, and it wouldn't matter. Yeah. If it just depends if that's a right fit for you. I don't think, I've talked to multiple brokers that are like, well, do we really need that cost? Is it important? I personally like going into an office. My wife does not think I need to work from home. And I'm good with that. Yeah. But I don't know how yours feels.
No, yeah, same thing. Get out. Get out.
I was there for 4 hours.
I'm working from home today.
Yeah. You see ya.
Yeah.
Well, look, but y'all have had some pretty rapid growth.
Yeah, we have.
Has that been good?
We've been very lucky. We've been very lucky. I think it's because we take the position that the brokers work for the agent. And I have, we're 2 brokers, actually, 2 full-time brokers, myself and my business partner, Melissa Kradish. And she's a broker also. We're both full-blown brokers of record. So if they can't reach one of us, they can reach the other one. We're both in the office all the time. We're in the office more every day for the agents that need help rather than being in the office because somebody's going to walk in and we're going to get a walk-in client or something like that. Agents come in and sit down with us, and we coach them and train them or we'll help them resolve whatever issue it happens to be. And I think that's led to the growth that we've had. I've had a couple of brokerages that they were former students of mine, the brokers, and they started their own brokerage, and then they just decided they didn't like being a broker anymore, so they folded their company and folded into Gulf Life. So we've been we've been really, really blessed, really, really blessed with some really, really good people that focus on, I say this all the time, real estate is a relationship business. It's
For
not
sure.
a sales business. You can't sell somebody real estate. You get, hey, for $399, $999, buy the, but wait, if you buy now, it's not, you're going to get a nice new pan set, sharp knives. Don't even need butter. You'll lose weight if you buy this damn crap. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the walk-in thing doesn't exist as much anymore.
So you gotta take your clients, whether it's your sellers or your buyers, figure out what their motivation is, right? Why are you selling? Why are you buying? And help them with that, whatever that transition is, right? And in fact, that's kind of our company motto: is we help people transition their lives from where it's currently happening to where it's going to be happening.
I like it.
We're not selling you anything, and we try to do it that way. And I think that's what this business is. And I love this business. I really do. When I got into it, I thought it was just a way to make some easy money. I really did. I bought into what the TV shows were like. But I've since realized that this is a noble business, right? Let's go back to me being the professional new kid moving every 2 years, right? I know what it's like to uproot yourself and move, right? I did it over and over and over again. And in many people's lives, that's one of the most stressful times in their life. It's expensive. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what, where's the kids' little league is going to happen. Where's where's the dentist? Where's the orthodontist? Where's the this? Where's the that? Hell, where can we get some good chicken wings? I don't even know where my toothbrush is, kind of thing. It's always a stressful time. And if realtors help people manage that stress, and they help them achieve, as first-time homebuyers, we help people achieve the American dream. Right? It's really a noble thing. It looks easy on the outside, but damn well with that so many things happen between contracting. Shopping for properties, fun. That's the fun part. The contract to closing is where all of the nightmares can happen. And when you have a really good agent that's focused on helping the people solve the problems and the issues that happen between contract and closing, and actually get them to closing and get them closed and get them those keys and get them to move into their, put a roof over their head and have them build equity in that property and help them save for retirement and live the American dream, that to me, that's a noble business. And I've really come around on this. I didn't used to think it this way, but I do now. It's not a sales business. It's none of that. It really is. We help people achieve the American dream, and that's what realtors do. So if you're a realtor out there and you're listening to this and you think that that people in the general public, oh God, not another realtor, just let that roll off your back. You know that you do better than that. You know that what we do is important. It's important to the economy. It used to be that individuals couldn't own property. When we started this country, before we started this country, in the old school, the sovereign owned everything, the king and the queen, maybe the nobles, right? When individuals were not allowed to own property. That was one of the foundational principles of this country, is that individuals could own property. Right?
And they started giving it away.
And instead of just the king, the queen, the president, whatever you want to call it, right? It's foundational. And we are the people, we are the purveyors of that. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud to be a realtor. Somebody says, "Oh, you're a realtor?" I'm like, "Damn right I am."
Well, I think that I agree with you. And we used to do a class. I think the word noble, the culture around realtors has evolved over the last 20 years. Think about, it used to be Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah.
They had this
coffees
stigma
for closers.
Yeah, well, but it was the stigma of what a realtor was. Like, that was out of New York City. It's a dramatic example, but we used to teach this class, actually George Senior used to teach a class about attorneys and realtors on the ethics scale were one level above attorneys. I think that's changed a lot over the last 20 years. I want to say maybe since, 2000, because it became more of a relationship business. It wasn't ticket taking. You're not trying to say, screw the other person over that you're trying to get a deal from, but put a deal together. And then some of the best that I've seen in the business do that very, very well build a team around them where their flaws may be, whether it's the
Mm-hmm.
organization and they're good at sales or they're good with the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then to your point of having a good broker who's not necessarily selling against you, but willing to coach you.
Yeah.
If I can, like you said about title companies, I can go down the panhandle and tell you the good real estate companies and the good agents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
I think having a broker support, because there's a model out there, where it's just, here's a license, go kill it. And there's, Keller Williams has a good training model,
mm-hmm.
but their support after that typically isn't as good. I've got agents, especially in this area, that are Keller Williams agents. You wouldn't know they're Keller Williams agents
mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
They brand themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. They're very mature. That's part of their brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not knocking KW
mm-hmm.
at all. That for new agents, that's a great place to go.
Yeah.
But even some of the bigger brokers or successful brokerages, if you will, their brokers selling against them, and they're not necessarily taking the call that I heard you take this morning
mm-hmm.
before we started this podcast of you coaching up an agent and how to deal with their client.
Right.
And that to me makes a difference of a good brokerage, good broker. You can sell, but not necessarily get your agent, but be willing and available. Like you said, you may have to take a call at 6 p.m. on a Saturday after a football game and help your agent out. And we try to do the same thing, and I think it makes a huge difference.
And I think you succeeded at that. You really do.
We're trying.
You set the bar for this, George, and it was and it shows, and it really does.
Well, thank you.
It shows in your company. It's why I enjoy using Setco and doing that, and I do think that's important. So that we keep that in mind. I mean, it's a great business. It's not going away. It's,
I don't.
There's never going to be house vending machines.
No. What is it, Carvana?
Yeah. House.
Well, especially like in these markets,
mm-hmm.
You may have a relationship with someone out of Atlanta who's been looking for a condo for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I could cut the realtor relationship out and get it direct, because that buyer is the one paying, or in Bay County seller, whatever, whoever's paying for the contract, the realtor still kind of direct that business. You've had that relationship with that client for 4 years,
mm-hmm.
and they finally freaking bought something,
Yeah. I've had it longer than that. I had
a
guy that I'd met that I did for 10 years.
He never bought anything for
10 years later, he called. 10 years later, he finally decides to buy something.
I just see the graph on his trickle campaign of emails.
Yep. It was little by little.
Three waves
by
of
little.
Yeah.
And every couple of years he would come down and I'd show him a little bit more. He had a condo in Destin and he wanted to be in Panama City Beach. And every couple of years did it. And finally, 10 years later, he said, I'm ready to sell my Destin condo and buy something in Panama City Beach. And so we got his condo listed in Destin, sold it, and then started showing him stuff in Panama City Beach. And it was 2 more years before he actually bought something in Panama City Beach.
That's forever.
And we were with him the whole way.
That's awesome. So just a few questions. You've got a pretty diverse background in general, but you also have this instructor thing. You've been teaching classes for almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's my passion.
And I love that about you. You can tell you're a good teacher, a good orator. What advice would you give someone coming into the business younger of maybe how to be successful and maybe a few things not to do?
That's a great question. And thank you for asking that, because there's a couple of things. All right. The number one word, the big word that I have is listen. All right. Whether you're working with a buyer or you're working with a seller, all right, people don't buy or sell real estate as an impulse. There's some major event that happens in their life that causes a real estate transaction, right? And those events are very predictable, right? I call it the real estate life timeline, right? Somebody's just graduated college, maybe they just got pregnant, they just got married. Time to move out of the apartment. Let's be big boys and girls, and let's buy a house or something like that. There's job relocations, job promotions, layoffs, divorces, death, inheritance, all kinds of things. People don't just decide to just uproot their lives and go into this stressful thing because they feel like it'll be fun. So the number one thing is listen. What is the motivation of both your buyer and your seller? Don't just assume you know what that motivation is. Ask them. And when you ask them what their motivation is, and you get the answer to that, because they usually don't give it to you right away. You got to prod them a little bit to get that. Then get what their needs are from them. Listen to them, especially with a buyer. Let's say people just get a phone call and then they decide to meet somebody at a house to go show them a house. Don't do that. How important that initial meeting with that client is to listen to what it is, what is their motivation for doing this, why are they buying this house, and what are their needs, their wants, and their wishes. Needs are the critical things that this property has to have. If it's missing one of those things, one of those needs, then it's a deal breaker. Do you need a garage? Do you need 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms? How many kids do you have? You have 4 kids, then a 3-bedroom is out. Right? That's a deal breaker. It's got to be at least 4 bedrooms, right? Do you need a garage? I got a classic car. I need a garage. I'm not parking that thing on the street. Okay. Well, then now you get to a point to where when you go show property, you don't sound like a salesperson. I see new agents do this all the time. They don't sit down and have that buyer consultation, and they don't find out what their motivation is. And they walk into the house and they go, wow, look at this pretty kitchen. And the people go, we don't cook.
That's awesome.
Look at this big, beautiful backyard. I hate mowing.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to them beforehand. You got to listen to what they are. Stop selling and start being of service. Listen to what they have. If you have that meeting beforehand and you listen to what those buyers, or it works with the seller side too. I'm just, for sake of time, I'll focus on the buyer side. Then when you walk into a house, you say, now, this house, see, it's got that small kitchen over there, but you told me you guys don't cook or don't entertain much, and there's a little small backyard. Now what you're doing is you're reinforcing what they told you they're looking for. Or you might walk in and say, now, this has got a really big kitchen. Is that kind of a bummer for you guys? You don't want to have something that big. It's taking up space. Maybe this is something that you don't want. Maybe we can find something better on the other side. But you're reiterating to them what they've then told to you. But if you don't listen from the very beginning, then you're just a salesperson. You just come across as a salesperson.
Yeah.
Same thing with the sellers. What is your motivation? Why are you selling this property? Is it for one of those things on the real estate life timeline? And why? And where are you going? And what's your timeline? You know, it's not just about the money. It's about how are we going to get you from point A to point B in the smoothest transition as possible. And you got to be honest with them. Don't just agree with them, right? People will say no to a salesperson, but they will not say no to a trusted advisor and a friend. All right. One of my favorite lines to tell people, and I just said this to my agent this morning when I was talking to her, is I say to people all the time, do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Because I only tell the truth. I'm not going to blow smoke up your proverbial, right? I'm going to tell you what the truth is. And the truth is your mobile home is not worth $450,000.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of it comes in, is that price.
That is, if you're going to be a listing
mobile home
agent,
or whatever it is. Yeah.
If you're going to be a listing agent, right? And I know there's a combination of all, but the most important skill, and it is a skill that listing agents have for successful agents, is their ability to have an honest pricing conversation with a seller, and not to manipulate them or convince them or to sell them on this, but to get them to understand that the real estate market is no different than any other market. And people will, if your property is on the market for $450,000, but there's 3 other ones that are damn similar to yours on the market for $400,000, they're not going to buy yours. They're going to buy the other ones. Those other ones are going to get sold first. And making sure that you have that honest conversation. You're doing a better job with them. I will tell people, I go on listing appointments all the time. I go on them with my brand new agents. Brand new agents are afraid. My mom's friend said that she wants to sell her house, and I don't know the first thing about doing a listing presentation. I don't know. That's all right. We'll put something together. Let's sit down, and I'll go on that presentation with them. And I let them know that when you go on this listing presentation, you have to be able to walk away from that.
Yeah. That's a hard part for new agents.
Brand new agents, it's hard. It's hard for experienced agents.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you take a listing, think about this, guys. If you take a listing that's overpriced, you know it's not going to sell. And what you're going to do is you're going to put a sign up in the yard. And you might be able to say to yourself and convince yourself that that's a good thing because maybe you get some sign calls and stuff. But think about the people in the neighborhood that drive by that sign every day. What do they see? They see for sale. And for 6 months, they see for sale. And what do they not see? Sold.
It's also costing you money.
And it's costing you money and pictures and time and all of this other stuff. And then what happens is that they fire you, or your listing expires, and then an experienced agent comes along that's good at having that pricing conversation and says, you want to dick around for another 6 months, or do you want to get this property sold? Here's where it needs to be sold. And this is, if you want this much money for it, we're going to have to fix that fence, and we're going to have to get this thing deep cleaned, and you're going to have to get rid of the cat hair and whatever stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
And then that new agent puts that sign in the yard, and then a week later, under contract.
Yep. Seen it 100 times, so have you.
Yeah, I call it the concept of the first fail. Sometimes people just won't listen to the first realtor.
I heard just, I wasn't necessarily eavesdropping, but you were out here and I was on my computer and I heard you say a couple of things that I think were very good points. One, because I've said this a bunch, hey, this isn't 2021 anymore.
No.
Regardless if that's pricing and or negotiation, that can mean a lot of things. And I wasn't on the call. But the other thing I thought was pretty intriguing, and I've thought about this before, but you said it probably a little more eloquently than my redneck ass is going to say it. But people buy these real estate, and I would say, especially in this market that we're sitting in, if you've got X amount of dollars in the stock market, and you're doing 10% a year. Mm-hmm. That's strong.
Yeah.
Overall. I mean, is what it is. Some people may argue with me that one way or another, but that's strong. Mm-hmm. You've had a house for 3 years and you've got 30% appreciation. That's strong.
And you're expecting 130.
Yeah. And in any other investment opportunity, short of being, and I'm not going to box South Walton in, but I've seen it a lot here in that expectation. And some of it is, hey, well, this guy closed at X down the street and here's his square footage and blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, you're right.
I want that deal.
Well, that was an accelerated buy in mid 2021 for people that were desperate to get the hell out of Atlanta for political reasons. That's a totally different environment. But that's also, to your point, I think I could sum up your scenarios with, you go back to relationships. If your client knows you and your client trusts you, like, Opey, this is not worth $1 million. It's going to sell at 850. Let's list it at 890. That type of candid conversation. But if you've earned that trust and relationship, you can have that conversation all day very easily, typically.
Yeah. And how do you earn that trust? You listen.
Yeah, you listen. I love it.
You become a listener. That's the first thing you got to do. So that's my advice for any brand new agent. Don't worry about trying to figure out how to write a contract and studying the contracts. Don't worry about how to work the MLS the best and studying stuff like that and listening to all kinds of podcasts and all that. All that stuff.
No, listen to the podcast.
Well, listen to the pod. Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking don't take my advice. Don't take
all his advice.
I'm an idiot. What I just said.
We'll just cut that out.
I know, but
we'll just beep it like it's a cuss word.
Spend time. I always tell my agents, I say, put yourself in opportunity's way. Go talk to people. It's a people business, right? Go talk to people. Wear your name tag when you go out so people know what you are. Some people go, oh, everybody will know I'm one of those realtors. If your thought is I'm one of those realtors,
wrong business.
Then you're in the wrong business, and people will smell it like dogs smell fear. All right? If you're not confident in what you do and what you offer, if you're not able to articulate your value, that what you bring to this business and what you bring to this transaction, aside to being just a buyer's bus driver or a glorified lock opener, if that's how you see yourself, then either get out of the business or figure out how to figure out all the ways that you add business to your to this, or add value to this, to the transactions themselves. I have my agents keep a a diary, if you will, a log of anytime something comes up in a deal that you have that is crazy, that you have had to figure out how to get it resolved. Write that down in this little thing. And even experienced agents, I'll have them go back and say, give me 10 nightmares that you had something to do to resolve that. Now you have the basis of something that you can now articulate your value.
Do you share that? Like, do y'all have company meetings?
Of course.
Okay.
Well, we call them gatherings. Meetings too boring.
You'd be shocked, maybe not, of the amount of companies that don't.
Yeah, no, we do. We do.
Good. I think that's healthy. I go back to knowing a lot of these markets and a lot of the companies. Some of the better run ones and the ones with the better agents, they get together every week and they talk. They share their scenarios. They share their listings. They share their successes and their failures.
Yeah,
and they learn from each other.
Yeah.
So, what do you have? I mean, clearly you're very passionate about what you're doing and where you're at today.
I am.
What's going on in the next 5 years for Opey?
Well, I would love to grow the teaching business more. I love being a broker, and because I love working with agents, and that's in and of itself is teaching.
I was going to say, you're coaching but, probably daily.
I do love, I'm a member of the Florida Realtor faculty. I teach GRI now. I've just got certified to teach the new fair housing requirement.
What is GRI for those listening that don't understand all these damn acronyms?
Graduate of the Realtor Institute. There are bachelor's degrees in real estate now, but before that was a thing. The GRI was analogous to the bachelor's degree.
Got it.
It's 3 different phases. You've got a 100 series, a 200 series, and a 300 series, and it goes really, really in depth into every aspect of real estate from beginning to end. I mean, even towards the 300 series, there's things on international real estate. It dives deep into finance, real estate finance, and understanding at a deeper level how real estate finance works, other than is it an FHA or a conventional kind of thing or a VA.
Is that in your school? Or are you teaching that at
that's
a college?
That's a nationally accredited thing from the National Association of Realtors.
Okay, but you said you're teaching that, right?
I do. I teach
Where do you do that?
I teach that. Well, I've got a GRI class coming up in, I want to say February at eCar. I don't teach the whole thing. So, I teach a segment of it.
Got it.
All right. And because that whole series is best taught by various different instructors. You want different instructors from their different perspectives to teach that whole thing.
Sure.
That's kind of one of the things. There's not a GRI class out there where you just have one instructor for the whole thing.
But it's an actual accreditation though, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's the one designation that, a lot of people, like you mentioned earlier, you have a lot of the letters behind your name.
Ton of little
I don't have a ton of letters behind my name. I got one, GRI.
Okay. That sums it all up.
Drop the mic.
Okay.
But in my opinion, I'm not crushing anybody that has multiple designations. I'm an education guy. Go get them.
Yeah.
The problem I have with the other designations, and most of them, is that you have to renew those designations every year, which means you have to pay the people that allow you to use it past your name every year. You got to renew it. GRI, once you get it, it's there. You never have to renew it again. And it says, I've been from very beginning to the very advanced. I've been through the whole gambit of it. So, but anyway, teaching is where I really want to expand. In the next 5 years, you ask me, I would like for my real estate school, Russ Harbour Real Estate School is the name of it. My last name is Russ. My business partner's name is Melissa Harbour Cradish. Her married name is her real name is Harbour, but her married name is Harbour Cradish. So, but that's where Russ Harbour comes along.
Okay.
My last name, her last name.
Does she teach too?
Yeah. She's a licensed instructor. She's also a broker. In fact, we got a sales associate pre-license class starts Thursday, and she usually handles the first 2 days. She starts it off, and then I come in for the last 2 days with the heavy hitting and the math and all the stuff that students hate. She gets all the fun part, and I get all the
you bring the energy,
ugly ones.
I'm sure.
I try. Yeah, I mean, I really do. I realize that this is not the most entertaining stuff in the world, and so it can get a little dry.
Yeah.
So I put on a party hat and yuck it up a little bit. Yeah.
Go to Go to a title insurance licensing pre-class. You want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can pep up a little more. So, all right, you show where we find the classes. Where can they find Opey?
They can find me at russharbour.com is my real estate school, HARBOUR. So it's the Fufu Harbour, and or Gulf Life Real Estate, and that's Gulf Life Go. Gulf like not the swinging of the club, but like the body of water. Life like the opposite of death, and go like the opposite of stay.
You got that down pat.
GulfLifeGo.com.
I love it.
We are accepting new agents if you're interested in coming to work for a brokerage that cares about you. I mean, that's my plug, right?
Yeah.
If you want continuing education and you need your 14 hours, please give me a call. If you need your post-licensing, your 45-hour post-licensing, I do a 5-day post-licensing class that is just awesome. And I feel like I'm patting myself on the back. Let me temper this real quick. My post-licensing class, I give people so much tips and tricks on and things how to run this business. And all of those things that I give you are things that I did wrong when I was coming through. I bare my soul and open up, and it's a very humbling experience, because here's how you don't do something that'll lose you a $20,000 commission.
Yeah.
All right. Here's how you don't. I always say, take my advice. Don't do it the way I did it. So I've been in this business for over 20 years. I love this business. I love the people in this business. Right. And y'all are my tribe, man. I think the real estate agents, the really good ones, are really kind of unique when you think about it. Most businesses, if you're an accountant, you got to be a real type A personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're an entertainer, you got to be a real type B personality. In real estate, you got to be a little bit of both, right? You got to have the type B with the being outgoing and be able to get the business, but then you got to turn around and write contracts and be organized and scheduled and all that kinds of stuff. You got to have a part of the type A, right? Yeah. And you got to listen, right? So, we're really a unique bunch, I think, and I love real estate agents, and the vast majority of them just want to help. The best real estate agents in the country are ones with what I call have a servant's heart. We're here to be servants. We're not here to be salespeople. I'll tell you real quick. There was a study that I read a while ago, and they took like the top 100 agents in the country, and they asked them, what did you do before you became a real estate agent? Because, real estate is not, traditionally, it's not really a start-off career. It's always a transition career, and so they did this poll. You know what the number one profession was that led to the top real estate agents in the country? You want to take a guess?
I don't know. I've never even proposed it.
Nursing.
Really?
Nurses was number one. Number two, teachers.
Huh.
Grade school and high school teachers, right? Number three was military and police officers. Retired military or police officers.
You see the third. I mean, clearly you have the
now.
Study,
what's the one thread that weaves through all three of those? Service.
Yeah.
Nurses aren't doing it for the money. If they were, they'd be doctors.
Yeah.
Teachers are certainly not doing it for the money.
For sure.
And the proud men and women of our armed forces and our police officers, they're doing it for the service as well, right? You know where account executive found its way on that list? In other words, corporate salesperson, you know where that was on the list?
Probably at the bottom.
It didn't even make the list.
Really?
Salespeople don't make it here. Service people make it here. And it's one of the reasons why I love the business. And the more I get to know people, and you're in the service business as well.
Yeah.
I'm
going to use that little
all
stat.
about helping. Here's something else. If you ever thought about this, we have our code of ethics, right? In a capitalistic society, competition, free market competition is the foundation of capitalism. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You turn on the TV, you'll see a Coke commercial. And the Coke will say see somebody drinking a can of Pepsi, and they'll take the can of Pepsi out of their hand and say, "Don't drink Pepsi, try Coke." And they'll, hey. The very next commercial will be someone drinking a Coke, and the Pepsi guy will say, "Don't drink Coke, drink Pepsi." Right? That's capitalism. Real estate professionals operate under a code of ethics, and the code of ethics says we're not allowed to solicit business away from the other people. Why? Not because we want to be all warm and fuzzy, but because that's not what's best for the client, right? Ultimately, Article 1 of our Code of Ethics says our client's needs and purposes are utmost, but that does not relinquish us from the responsibility to be honest and fair with all we deal with, right? This law sets the minimum standard of behavior. Ethics set a much higher standard of behavior. There's not another industry where you're not allowed to go solicit business from your competition that I know of. We don't compete like to in a competition where there's a winner and a loser. Our Code of Ethics says we have to cooperate. I call it co-opetition, if you will. Where we're all brothers and sisters united in the common cause. Like realtors are all one big kind of fraternal organization. The ones that are good, the ones that stick with it. And we fight and we bitch and moan at each other from time to time, just like brothers and sisters do, right? But we got each other's backs. And it's really good when I do a deal and I know who the agent on the other side of that is, and I've done a deal with them before, and I'm going to cover your back, and I'm going to help you out, and you're going to help me out, and I know that that's going to happen. I train my competition.
Yeah.
I help them get their license, and they go with other brokerages, and now they're competing against my agents, but I do it. I make myself fully available to anybody in the real estate business, and I don't care what brokerage you work for. You got a contract question? Call me. You're a broker and you don't know what's going on with this, and you got an agent issue that you don't know how to handle, call me. I'll help you. And everybody knows that. And I've been teaching in this town for a long time, and there are agents that I love this. I had one come up to me just the other day and said, I was in your class back in 2006. and now they're one of the biggest top producers and stuff like that. I love that. I have agents that started off in my pre-license class that are now brokers for big brokerages, and they still call me. And I love that they call me. I want them to call me. So if you're a realtor and you need help, call me.
Opey, you're kind of one of a kind. I wish everybody was like that. Close would be a lot more smooth process.
I don't know, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I don't know. There was a broker, and I'm going to give a shout out to a broker named Jeannie Carter. And Jeannie Carter was one of my brokers, and early on. And I had shown property on a Saturday, and it was Saturday night at about 7:00, and the buyers wanted to write a contract. And these are in the days before dot loop and form simplicity and all that kinds of other stuff. I had to write the contract and fax it over to the other agent, right? I called my broker, Jeannie, and there was a lot of noise going on in the background I could hear. And I said, I'm sorry, are you out at a restaurant having dinner? She said, no, it's Alan's and my anniversary. And I forgot which one it was. It was a big one. It was like 25th anniversary, wedding anniversary or something like that. And I said, and we're having a dinner party celebrating it. And I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Don't worry about it. And she said, no, hold on. She walked into her office, shut the door, and spent the next 30 minutes walking me through that contract and telling me what box to check and what to put where and how to word it and how to do that. In the middle of her 25th wedding anniversary party at 7:00 on a Saturday night, I said to her, I will never be able to repay you for that. Thank you so much for doing that. And she says, yes, you will. She said, one of these days you'll be a broker. And when you're a broker, you be the broker that works for the agents. Don't be one where you feel like, don't put yourself on a pedestal and think those agents work for you. You promised me that, and you do that, and you've paid me back.
I love that.
So I learned
Great story.
I learned that from her. She's still a dear friend of mine to this day. I love her with all my heart, and she's an amazing human being. And I've learned that from people along the way, and I'm just carrying the message, brother. I'm carrying the message and paying it forward because it was done for me. I've also worked for brokers that clock out at 4:00.
Well, like I said, you may not think it, but I think you're one of a kind.
Well, I appreciate that, George. I really do. I just hey, let's all get together and do this together. Let's work it together.
I love that attitude. Anything else we need to cover? I feel like we're good.
Did we talk about my book? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm here for you, bro.
No. I'm kidding.
Hey, once you conquer that one, just come on back. Yeah. We'll do that again.
Yeah, very good.
Opey, I appreciate you,
man.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me over.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but there was a time when you used to go to the Ocean Club with your dad a lot.
I did.
And I used to manage the Ocean Club.
Yep.
And you'd come in with your folks, and we'd wait on it. And then at the old Florida Fish House, those are back in the early days. Right after I first got my license, still working in restaurants.
Hey, look, there's a lot of people here that started in that wheelhouse. Yeah, it's funny you say that. My girls, 10 and 14, asked me where we got engaged, and we got engaged at the Ocean Club, and they haven't been there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, so we're going to take them pretty soon.
Take them to the Ocean Club.
Of course we will. Opey, thank you for making the time, brother. Enjoyed talking with you, man.
Enjoyed
catching up. Bye, y'all.
See ya.